Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for tuning in. This is going to be a lit show because we're going deep on some topics. There's actually a segment that's maybe like 10 minutes long of this TPUSA thing that I've been doing this last couple videos. I'm splitting this one up because there was like, within that 10 minutes, there was two really good topics. I'm going to skip the first one, which we'll come back to next week. You can tune into that. That's going to be on standing up as a Christian and whether we need to, be in subjection to a government, which we of course are, or pay fealty to God and be an unmovable man, and how to be an unmovable man. So that'll be the next video. This one, though, is about aliens. Aliens? What are they, interdimensional beings or demons? So let's get into it. They brought up this discussion on the AMUSA roundtable with Tucker Carlson, Charlie Kirk, James O'Keefe, Seamus Coughlin, Luke Rutkowski, I always say his name wrong. Rudkowski, whatever. Ian Crossland, Tim Pool, all around a table, all talking about different subjects, and some amazing topics come up that I don't agree with everything they say, like I said before, but there's some really key things that are good to talk about. They're pop culture crisis moments that I think we need to address. And this one in particular tonight is a crazy thing that just happened, blew up on January 2nd, where all this stuff started happening. So we'll get into that. I've got footage of that relates to the aliens topic. But first, let's listen in on what they started talking about with Tucker Carlson here, and just how he started relating to the alien beings phenomena. The UFOs, or they call them UAPs now. But just some interesting stuff, so let's tune in. There's Seamus.
Commanded to do something evil, you have to resist that.
Yeah, the scriptures are very clear about that. You obey God, not
and the
man.
church tradition is very clear about that.
Tucker, you made some very interesting comments recently that has been going viral all over social media when you were specifically talking about UFOs. And you were specifically talking about something that is hard to kind of really understand here. I was wondering, what's your kind of take on all of this? Because I see this as a spiritual war. Do you see this as a spiritual war? What are your kind of core belief systems when it comes to addressing the larger evils of the system?
Well, as I so often do, I spoke incompletely. I didn't fully explain myself. In the clip that you're referring to, which like 8 people have sent me, in outrage, that I basically said there are things that I know that I won't say, which of course is not exactly right. I don't know. I mean, I can't prove it, and I really do try to say things that I really believe are true and are provably so. And so that's kind of my hesitance. If I had facts, I would say them. It's my personal belief, based on a fair amount of evidence, that they're not aliens. They've always been here, and I do think it's spiritual. That's my view. So, and again, it's not provable, but based on the evidence, I think.
I'm with you.
Absolutely. Well, the military has been working in this realm for a very long time. They have been also trying to weaponize it. There's also a lot of crazy experiments that they did with DMT, hooking people up essentially to DMT IVs, having people go off into the spiritual realm. So if you're not paying attention, you don't understand that there's a larger kind of energetic frequency and battle happening.
But can I say one thing? If the U.S. government has in fact had direct contact with these beings, whatever they are, I've already told you what I think they are, and has entered into some sort of agreement with them, which is the claim of informed people, I would say. Whether they're right or wrong, I can't say conclusively. But if that is true, I mean, it's a very, very, very heavy thing.
Yeah. A lot of people say interdimensional beings.
Right, I want to ask, are angels and demons, or how would you describe these beings?
These are, again, I'm getting into the realm of conjecture, so I just want to say that flat out.
Entity?
But one thing I know for a dead certain fact, having seen it, is that there is good and evil, that we are being acted upon at all times. And I think every person can feel that in himself. I mean, there are moments when you are moved to do things that are much better than you actually are, and that are also more evil and destructive than you actually are. You are subject to forces from outside yourself That is absolutely true. Now, we can argue about what they are, but every person in the room, if he's reflective, will tell you, yes, I know what you're talking about. And so there are forces that are not human, that do exist in a spiritual realm of some kind, that we cannot see, and that when you think about it, sort of make you think we live in an ant farm.
Yeah.
Being right? And that's that is real, okay?
And there's many artists also talking about how essentially what they do in their greatest works of art is usually done through channeling.
Of course.
So-
And there is an aspect
Not
of this
freedom
that I think-
tunes, by the way.
Yeah, but definitely not that
Well,
one.
he's channeling-
We haven't made
It's not that
anything
good
good.
yet.
By the way, every artist will tell you that.
Exactly.
Every artist.
That something happened, that they're not themselves, that they just were doing their art, and then something just
Transcendent.
went.
No, but
through
and it's
them.
not just visual arts. It's every creative act brings you closer to something outside the human realm, and you can feel it, whether it's woodworking or writing or painting a painting or writing an opera or writing a rap song or whatever. Anything that is true and beautiful, or anything that is dark and destructive, is almost certainly a product of forces acting upon you, and you can feel it.
God created us to participate in creation with him, to participate in his creativity and make things.
That's right.
And since everyone here is cool, I'll say this. With respect to demons and spiritual forces, there's a priest who was laicized towards the end of his career. He's relatively controversial, but he was an exorcist by the name of Malachi Martin. And one thing he said about exorcism cases is that in films, you see all of these over-the-top portrayals of heads spinning and vomiting. And he said when it comes to things like vomiting and all of these supernatural visual indicators of possession, that those are the cases that are the most mild because the soul's trying to fight back. And with forms of perfect possession, the most dangerous forms of possession, you can't tell when you look at the person because they're perfectly content with the evil thing they're doing. And then you look at the way people in D.C. act, you look at the way our political leaders act, and you go, is it that much of a stretch to say some of these people, and this is not some crazy outsider belief. Jesus performs exorcisms in the Bible. Like, this is not something that Christians
And does it make you wonder that no doctor has ever been able to explain where exactly schizophrenia comes from?
That's exactly.
I bet it's parasites.
And that we cannot treat it, we can suppress it, but we cannot treat it. And there's no kind of baseline for it at all. There's science that has not penetrated schizophrenia. So, like, what is that?
Well, and that
Parasites.
is the other thing. That's because, in my view, as a 28-year-old cartoonist who knows basically nothing about the world, but if I would be so bold as to speculate on this, I think part of that is the problem with psychology is it doesn't take into account that the human person is a body-soul composite, and that you are not just chemical reactions happening at the level of the brain in a series of tangled-up pathologies that produce certain behaviors and states of consciousness. You
Good
have
point.
a soul. There is a spiritual component to you that
We are
can be
spiritual
acted on by
beings.
outside spiritual forces.
When I was younger, I 18, 19, 20, I very much fell into this. There is no good and evil. It's competing interests. Some people think the other person's evil because their interests don't align and they have different worldviews. And as I got older, especially with the past 8 years, my worldview fundamentally changed. And there's one man I owe a great deal to for revealing to me the evils of the world. That's Adam Schiff. He is a liar, a cheater, a deceiver, a manipulator. I mean, I was so shocked to see this guy on TV lie in the way he does to destroy. And I call him out because it's an easy name to throw mud at. But there are so many people that I'm shocked to see, particularly on the left with liberals, and now the neocons have joined them. Who I'm shocked when I'm like, these people know they're lying. They know what they're doing will drive us to a path of destruction. For what logical purpose? None. And let me give you a quick story. When I was at Occupy Wall Street, this was one of my formative moments.
Okay, I'm just going to stop it there because it's going off onto some other stuff. This point about aliens and the whole thing that's coming out with aliens back in July, I think it was, they had a congressional hearing and there were U.S. military people there testifying to what they've seen. There's actual things happening, really happening, documented, but unexplainable things like, defy gravity, defy the forces of physics, and, like including one where a ship, a naval ship, I think it was out on the ocean and this object came flying up beside it and then at super high speed dove into the water and didn't destroy itself in the process. It just went into the water. And there's all types of stories like this, like ships, parent ships that go in one direction, then immediately go in another direction at super high speeds, stuff that in physics isn't possible because it would mangle the ship crashing into the water. It would destroy the beings inside, turning so fast on a dime. So what is actually happening here? And in fact, they don't call them UFOs now necessarily. They call them UAPs, which means unidentified anomalous phenomena. And they've kind of done away with the idea of that these are beings that have traveled all the way across millions of light years to come to Earth and show up and you know, for whatever reason, and then disappear because of the sheer distance that has to be traveled and what we know about physics now, how close the next planetary system is and how long it would take to get here. There's things that don't make sense physically. You know, there's people that try and describe what could happen, but now, so they're talking about interdimensional portals and beings that are coming across dimensions. And this is where we're getting really close to biblical Bible events and angels and demons. And the Bible talks about angels. You may see an angel unaware. There's scriptures about that. There's, you know, demonic possessions that happen, people that have demonic encounters, and the demons are described as angels of light, like fallen angels that can disguise themselves as angels of light and can deceive people. And this is what we're seeing. So there's a really interesting thing happening where the Bible is intersecting with reality and what people are testifying about. Now, before I get into that, let's go into what's actually been happening lately. So this was just on January 2nd. So just a few days ago, there was this incident in Miami. Let me get to it. Now, this story blew up on Twitter, on TikTok, on a bunch of different places about what this was. Okay. So my point here is not to legitimize this story, but this is DC Drano. He posted this. He says, so we're not going to be told the truth about why Miami had possibly the biggest police response I've ever seen in my life. They're saying it was for teenagers fighting. What really happened? So the official story was that there were some kids with sticks and fireworks at a mall, and the police showed up and arrested some of the juveniles, and that was the story. But then somebody on TikTok, and I'll show his what he said. He said he was there and witnessed what happened. Said it was actually creatures that appeared that were 8 to 10 feet tall in this mall in Miami. And so if you look up the hashtag Miami aliens or Miami mall, you'll come across these stories. But here's this one. So this is the police response, and it is wild. Look at this.
Esta es una llamada a todas las unidades de la ciudad de Miami. Esto es en Bayside ahora.
Look at how many cars there are.
¿Qué hora es? ¿Qué hora es?
They go all the way down the road. Hundreds.
9:35 de la noche de hoy, 1 de enero, frente a Bayside.
Look at that. So, of course, this rumor starts. Why would there be that many police cars for some juveniles fighting with sticks? And this guy, he gave his firsthand account on TikTok. So this is what he said. Do I have this? Rewind it here.
So, since nobody's going to talk about it, I figured, like, you know what I'm saying? I was down in Miami for the New Year's, you know what I'm saying? Me and my girl, I got a little timeshare. We was down there on a like a mini vacay, you know, just to start the New Year's off right. So anyway, we happened to be at that mall. So we had Foot Locker or whatever. Next thing you know, you start hearing all this commotion outside, sound like firecrackers or something. So, you know what I'm saying? I grab her close. I'm like, yo, we about to get up out of here, because I originally thought that they were shooting. You know what I'm saying? I thought, some type of gunfight had broke out, whatever the case is, because we're not familiar with Miami, we're not familiar with the city. So I'm like, damn, I ain't even got my blick. So you know what I'm saying, we about to swerve. Next thing I know, it's like crazy. Like, we just see all these people running, like, fat chicks, old ladies, like, I'm talking about moving. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, old people even move. I'm talking about moving. So my girl, she like, what's going on? I'm like, all that, we out. Like, I'm not gonna ask no questions. We just gonna follow the crowd. Next thing you know, real like gunshots start going off. So you know what I'm saying? Like, we trying to follow the crowd, get out of there. I look back, no cap, yo, no cap. I look back, it looked like a big shadow, but it was solid at the same time. Like a few shadows, but they were solid at the same time. And it almost looked like they was coming our direction, like they was chasing us, but they was disappearing and reappearing closer. So I'm like, yo, what? So we start really moving. Next thing you know, we start hearing more gunshots. Like, these dudes start firing at the get outside, mad police, all that. You know what I'm saying? The police is like.
So he starts this video on TikTok saying this stuff. And then it just goes wild. And then there's people reporting 8 to 10 foot tall creatures that were there. This is why there were so many police. I was thinking, are they sure they weren't just some Trump documents that they found there? It looks like the Mar-a-Lago raid or something going on there. But of course, this spread like wildfire, and everybody started saying this was actually aliens that happened. There were aliens there. That's why there were so many cops, and they're keeping it under wraps. And there was a power outage that happened, or that was reported. I don't know if it actually happened or not. I haven't verified that. And then others said that the airport also was shut down. Why would the airport be shut down if it was just kids fighting? I don't know if that's true either yet. I haven't verified that. But this leads us to this discussion, because people are believing this. And I've got another video here, if I can find it. This is a police officer that was on the scene who responded after this went viral everywhere, just to kind of set the record straight on what actually happened. And I'll try and bleep out the swears.
January 2nd, 2024, with the whole Bayside situation, y'all gotta be stopped.
Bayside Mall.
Y'all gotta stop believing these people on TikTok and social media and all. Man, y'all gotta be stopped. In regards to this Bayside incident, we did not respond because it was 9-foot, 10-foot creatures and all this other bullshit y'all got going on. Bro, I'm gonna make this short, sweet, and simple. There was no black ops helicopter circling around the entire mall or any of that shit. There's no creatures, no nothing. It was a bunch of juveniles fighting and throwing fireworks at people. That's why we responded. Bro, y'all gotta stop this shit, bro. Like, stop clout chasing. There was no helicopters, no creatures, none of that. Stop. And for the people online looking at this stuff, y'all gotta stop believing them. Seriously. Stop.
So he's saying it was just, and if you think about it, if there's fireworks, which might sound like gunshots at a mall, the police are going to show up there in force and deal with it, right? But this opens up the discussion that they were talking about, the TPUSA roundtable, that what is it with aliens and UFOs and the interest that it draws to people. And I recalled, let me just show you another video. This is the same guy that posted the first video retracting his video. Oh, it looks like he just did another one. Interesting. He just posted another one. Maybe I'll put that one on. Okay, don't know what that is. Just loud. Here we go.
Yo, listen. Yo, y'all gotta chill. Yo, this crazy. I never been to Miami in my life. I was dead trolling, yo. Y'all can't be that, y'all can't be that gullible, yo. I was just dead ass trolling. I've never been to Miami. I'm not in danger. I'm chilling. So
he swears a bunch there. So this is his name, Sosa.pippen. He was the guy that kind of started the rumors and then retracted it, said this was just a troll. That's not actually what happened. The key thing is that people can be deceived easily online, especially right now when things go wild like crazy across the internet, across TikTok, across Twitter, across all the social media platforms. People can say whatever they want. And it made me remember a video that I saw back in like the 90s that I rented from a Christian bookstore, and I cannot find this video anywhere. So now I'm like, what was the name of it? I thought the name of it was Angel Unaware or something like that. But I looked that up, and there's like new titles like within the last 5 years that have that title, but nothing from the 90s, late 80s, early 90s in there. And that's when we saw it. We rented a VHS video and watched this thing, and it was all about people having different experiences and this girl that was abducted. And what they did is they tied it into how alien abduction is very close to demonic possession in what happens. People lose track of time. They have a sense of fear. They have cold feelings. They may even have a really pungent smell that happens. And often Jesus is mentioned. So I'm like, I couldn't find that video, but what I did find was a really interesting video that came out back in, when was this? 2018, called Alien Intrusion. Let me see if I can pull that up here. Yeah, Alien Intrusion, Unmasking a Deception. Yeah, John Schneider is the narrator on it. But it goes into a bunch of different abduction stories, and they actually take a really good look at it. And through that, I actually found another video. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the right video here. This is CMI Creation Ministries International, interviewing the guy who produced that video from 2018. And this is like a recent interview back in December 20th. So he talks a little bit more in this section of the video that we're going to watch about the correlation between the demonic and the extraterrestrial, the interdimensional being and the spiritual beings that the Bible talks about. And it's very interesting. And if you watch this whole thing, I'll have the link below this video. I would recommend that you watch the whole thing because it's got some very interesting information, depictions, and questions and that are asked and answered, as well as the background of years of research with people that have been abducted and their stories and testimonies of what have happened. So let's just listen into what he has to say. And this is Gary Bates, UFO researcher and speaker, Gary Bates. Interesting guy.
But here's the real kicker, Scott. There's over 400 cases, that I'm aware of with collaborators that I work with, where these abductions have been halted by people calling on the name of Jesus Christ. Now, I don't want to diminish people's experiences, but I've had comments, well, you wear an aluminum hat or aluminium hat and that can keep them away and, that type of stuff. No. And in the movie, we have the testimonies of these people who were having these experiences. They were terrified, and in their moment of terror, they recalled or called out to their childhood memories of who Jesus was. And the instant his name was called, it stopped. Okay?
So why do these aliens respond to Jesus?
Exactly. Exactly. And that indicates the spiritual nature of what is going on. So the evidence is spiritual. And then when we get to the level of abductions, deceptive messages are being given to people. But then when they're halted in the name of Jesus, that...
The people being abducted speak the name of Jesus and it stops it. The aliens disappear. Everything stops. Interesting. Now, I've had experiences in my own life where I've called out on the name of Jesus, where I used to have really bad, terrifying dreams, and I've called on Jesus, and the same thing, boom, stops, because there's power in the name of Jesus. And there's only one God, and all the angels, whether they're, good angels or bad angels, fallen or, God's angels, they're subject to God and they're subject to Jesus. So it's interesting that he's saying this, and he's talking about 400 different cases that they looked at in particular where this same thing happened, where Jesus stopped, just mentioning Jesus stopped the abduction from happening.
That is incredibly powerful. And again, when I'm saying that we've now got hundreds of testimonies, and I can't mention names, but I know people in the higher levels of UFO investigations that actually readily acknowledge this. But because of their positions, they can't actually come forward and candidly reveal this. So in some respects, this is one of the best kept secrets. One of the guys, my colleagues, my collaborators who worked on this, when he found this out, he wasn't a Christian at the time. And he kind of said, well, okay, what is it about Jesus that these aliens don't like? And he rang up his colleagues in MUFON and said, look, we think we found something. We've got these testimonies of people in the moment of their inductions. They said a prayer, they sang a psalm, a hymn, something Christian that was spiritual, and the abductions stopped. And so what is it about Jesus that they don't like? And he found out that his colleagues in MUFON already knew about it.
Wow.
And their simple answer was, okay, so aliens don't like Jesus. Big deal.
So this is non-Christians in MUFON. Can you just say what does MUFON?
MUFON is Mutual UFO Network. It's the world's largest UFO investigation group here in the US, and they have collaborators, thousands all over the world investigating UFOs.
So non-Christian organization.
Yeah.
And they already recognize that aliens respond to the name Jesus.
But because they don't possess a Christian worldview, it's ignored. And that's why I said I think we have the answer. The evidence fits what we're seeing, and then the personal testimonies of people calling on the name of Christ. Exactly why, as one of them said, and I said earlier, if he's supposedly a mythical religious figure, why do these aliens fear his name?
So Gary,
I bring all this up. Something else I want to mention is on this video, and I didn't know YouTube did this. Let me see if I can pull it up here. YouTube fact checks UFO videos with Wikipedia article. This content thing here is from Wikipedia. It's from YouTube, and if you go to more details about it, which I did, it's basically defining interdimensional UFO hypothesis, which is mentioned in this video. So it's basically like a fact check on this video from Wikipedia. Come on, YouTube. Use a more credible source. Wikipedia's got tons of false information on it. So anyways, so the whole reason to bring this up is because it's happening right now. I don't know if you remember, there was the incident where I think it was also in Florida or somewhere in the States where a police officer observed while he was talking to somebody, this light goes shooting over the car, and it was actually caught on the dash cam. And it appeared to crash in a field somewhere. And then they got a 911 call right after that from a family saying there was beings in their yard, 8 foot tall, and they're staring at us. And it was kind of just pushed to the side in the news.
Now, before we show you that video, listen to their call for help.
There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually, we're terrified of it.
So there's 2 people or 2 subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it, and big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
Okay.
Well, the 8 News Now investigators obtaining video as officers then responded to the call you just heard. You'll see the officers also saw something in the sky that night, but the big question is, what was it, and is it all connected?
Leave her alone.
It's almost midnight on May 1st when a Las Vegas Metro Police officer's body cam catches this, something flashing low in the sky.
911 emergency.
Minutes later,
there's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Someone calls 911 reporting 2 large figures in their backyard.
No, I'm so nervous right now.
The 8 News Now investigators obtaining another officer's video as he's sent to the Northwest Valley home.
I have butterflies, bro. Everyone saw a shooting star, then these people say there's aliens in their backyard.
By now, it's more than an hour after that bright light. Officers meeting up with the caller and his family.
What'd you see?
It was like a big creature.
A big creature?
Yeah, like around 10 feet tall.
I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious. Did you see anything land in your backyard, or?
They see like a big, that's what they say. They see like a big something with light.
What I saw right now, I do believe in it.
Police walk into the backyard to investigate, but Metro blacked out that part of the video because it's considered private property. What's clear, they're taking this call seriously.
Hey, this might sound like a really dumb question, but did you guys see anything fall out of the sky?
Asking others what they saw.
I would normally discount it as nothing. However, seeing as one of my partners said they saw it too, only reason I'm actually investigating it further.
That investigation turning up no concrete answers as of Wednesday. Whatever or whoever fell into that yard, long gone within minutes.
Oh, hey. If those 9-foot beings come back, don't call us, all right? Deal with it yourself. I ain't dealing with that.
And then there was also the Mexican guy who came forward and said he had bodies of aliens, and they were like these tiny little dolls that looked totally fake, and I think they've been debunked. But that was also in the news. So there's like all this UFO stuff happening right now, and they keep saying they're releasing. The government's going to release all the details, and nothing ever comes out. So I think it's setting us up for some end time events, and that's why I'm bringing this up, is because I'm talking about the end times a lot, and how we're closer every day, and it's good to be prepared. Whether it happens now or in 1,000 years, we don't know. But it's always good to be prepared and keep looking up, because your redemption draws nigh. And if you don't know Jesus, if you haven't got yourself right with God, now is the time to do it. And there's a couple verses in particular that speak to this. One is in 1 Timothy 4, and it says, "The Spirit clearly says that in latter times some will abandon the faith and follow deceiving spirits and things taught by demons. Such things come through hypocritical liars whose conscience have been seared, as with the hot iron." So interesting. Just that statement there. In the latter times, people will abandon the faith and start following deceiving spirits and things taught by demons. Interesting. Another one is 2 Thessalonians verse 8. So this is 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 8. It says, "Then that lawless one will be revealed, whom the Lord will eliminate with the breath of his mouth and by the appearance of his coming. That is, the one whose coming is in accordance with the activity of Satan, with all power and false signs and wonders, and with all deception of wickedness for those who perish, because they did not accept the love of truth so as to be saved. For this reason, God will send upon them a deluding influence that will, a deluding influence so that they will believe what is false, in order that they may be judged who did not believe the truth, but took pleasure in wickedness. So interesting that it talks about the man of lawlessness, and, you know, this appears to be talking about the Antichrist. In the end times, this person rise up, has power to do signs and wonders, and would deceive even the elect if possible, meaning even strong Christians will fall to this guy. And in my view, a great deception that this talks about would be one connected to aliens, where, let's say, a being lands on the earth and then says what a lot of these demons have been saying, as you find out from abduction stories, that Jesus isn't God, you are a God, and you have all the potential of God within you. And this is what some of the messages that these beings are saying to people is, you know, put Jesus aside. You should believe in the God in you, and that you are God. And that is a demonic message, because we are not God. We are made in the image of God, but we are not God, and we need God. We need Jesus for redemption, forgiveness, and to be made right, to be drawn back into his presence so that we can live in eternity with him. So we need to get right with God. It's a totally deceptive. Now imagine that being starts spewing stuff like this, blaspheming God, saying God is not real, you are God, and here's some signs and wonders, and he does amazing things that just blow people away. I mean, even just the fact that he showed up from space, some other dimension, to tell us the real truth. That's a great deception. That's exactly what something that one of these angels, fallen angels, would do, an angel of darkness, what a demon would do, to deceive people. And the man of lawlessness is spoken of right here as being this type of being. So we are in interesting times, people. It seems like it's the end times. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. But we still need to be prepared. And that's all my message is get your hearts right with God. Let's be better people because of it. Which, when you got a heart after God, you become a better person. You love your neighbor because you recognize that they are also made in the image of God and important to God, and they are children of God. We are all children of God. There is no race but the human race. There are no colors. Everybody becomes colorblind because Jesus loves everybody. Doesn't matter who they are, where they are, if they're from Gaza, or if they're from Germany, or if they're from Africa. It doesn't matter. We're all on the level playing field with God, and we are his children. That's the message of the cross. That's the message of the cross. Come to Jesus, get your heart right. And I'm just going to take 1 second to tune back in and make sure I didn't miss anything and see if there's anything else.
Here I am, 25 years old, really still kind of believing a lot of, good and evil is subjective. And I met someone who worked for a major media corporate press publication who explained to me, as they write and support the movement, they were nihilists. And so their intention was to watch the world burn down. And I'm not exaggerating. They said, nothing matters. You can prove nothing. So wouldn't it just be fun to watch it all burn? And I said, no, that's horrifying. If nothing matters, make your purpose and make things better and make things beneficial and make it flourish. And that's when I started to think to myself, this person's writing for a major corporate press outlet. And it starts to come into clearer picture for me as I'm seeing this throughout my career. There actually are people who are legitimate malicious evil, whose intention is to cause suffering to others. And I think, fair point, you look at serial killers and other crazy people, there's real evil in this world.
There's more sociopaths per capita in Washington, D.C. than anywhere else in the world. Yep. That's not an accident, okay? I want to get to Seamus's point here really quickly, because what you talked about, some people talk about frequencies, some people talk about energies, some people describe it as souls. I do agree. You do have a frequency, but you decide where that frequency goes, how it's affected, what its impact on the world it will have, and that choice is everyone's. And I think the more we start looking at ourselves and how we could be better and less government intervening in our lives, then the true change will happen in our society, when we no longer will need government.
Like, he knows the truth of that we are souls. We are people with souls and spirit, body, mind, and spirit. We are not just matter, that there's a spiritual side. And so many people know this is true, despite the naturalistic sciences saying, no, everything's just a naturalistic chemical process. So many people know that there's spirit as well. And, you know, we may not understand it. We may think it's all supernatural right now, but most people know inside. And you know, there's that famous quote about the God-shaped vacuum. Let me see if I can find that. I'll just switch to me for a second. Oh, it was Pascal. There is a God-shaped vacuum in the heart of every man, which cannot be filled by any created thing, but only by God, the Creator, made known through Jesus Christ. Blaise Pascal. So that's interesting, and that's the truth. Everybody knows it. Deep down inside, you know there's more to you than just a bunch of chemicals walking around in an upright form that formed by accident with no purpose and no reason for being here, and that you're just going to die and turn to the dirt. Everybody knows. The Bible speaks to that. It's written on our hearts that God is real. When are you going to get your heart ready for God? Anyways, thank you for tuning in. Bless you guys. Get your hearts ready. Share, like, subscribe, and we will see you on the next video. Have a great rest of your day.